Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning in to this minicast that I have titled The Technocratic New World. I'm joined by Charles Kassin of Truth is Terrorism to discuss these things. I had a few discussions I wanted to talk about, a few topics I wanted to talk about, people like Bill Gates, Elon Musk, the technocracy, and so much more. So I decided to have Charles on this minicast to discuss these things with us. And with that being said, let's start the show.
Before he was on Joe Rogan, I explained what his agenda is and how he does it, and he went on Joe Rogan and he did exactly that, to the point where I didn't even watch it, and I already, when people said, "Did you see him on there?" And at that time I didn't watch it yet, and I said, "Oh, he's basically doing this and this and this and that," and like, yeah, that's basically exactly what he did in the interview, because he's just following a script.
And it's wild too, when you take a step back, you look at it, it's like, dude, they put this, I don't want to say this genius, but they put this like really elite figure on Joe Rogan's show, let Joe get drunk, and just kind of like ignore what was actually being stated. Like you said, like literally beating around the bush, everything else except for talking about like the mark of the beast chip.
It's a serious thing, like, and Elon makes it, he does all this like pausing and thinking to make it like he's really coming up with stuff on the spot, when he's really just advertising his product. And but he does a lot of the psychological warfare thing of like, he fear mongers about artificial intelligence and how it's going to be like such a danger to us, but he's telling the truth that it is a danger. It's just what he's pushing for is the danger. But he like makes it like what he's pushing for is to combat it, like, oh, you just have to join it, you can't beat them, join them. And then it's this huge danger. The huge danger is joining. That's the whole danger. There is no artificial intelligence without us. There is no danger in it without us, really. I mean, there's obviously different levels to this. Like right now, we all have a little personal folder, a little profile for EJ, a little profile for Charles, a little profile for everybody that uses phones and the internet and everything. And it's a virtual world where they can simulate policy changes and see how you're going to react with precise calculation,
It's like, what's the product? What I think it's called is Neuralink or is Neuralace.
Yeah.
It's like basically where he's like trying to figure out a way to have like a brain to machine interface to where, we're at. It's like the Matrix. They literally like jack us in two computers and boom, just like that. We're part of the system.
Neuralink is the company, Neuralace is the product.
Ah, makes sense.
Yep.
And that's just where I feel like it's crazy that we're even able to like talk about this type of stuff like right off the bat. And this is just, again, another little quiet project he's got tucked away over there.
Yeah, and who did they have say his name? Sophia the robot. You saw that?
I did not see that.
You didn't see where Sophia the robot joked around about Elon Musk?
What did she say?
Something like, oh, Elon Musk is going to, like a joke about him saving the earth or something from robots or something like that. Something along those lines. Yep.
See, I didn't.
Oh, no, she joked around like, I think you've been watching too much Elon Musk. That's what she said.
Huh.
They know how to get people, man. They're just so good.
I feel like it's crazy. We were talking about this before, the idea of just like controlling extremes. It's just like for 30, 40, 50 plus years, we've seen nothing but just like the takeover of humanity via AI. And then they're just like, oh, don't worry about it. It's just like, what do you mean don't worry about it? Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, The Animatrix.
No.
It was like a little short series of videos that the creators of The Matrix did. And in it, one of the turnouts was where the robots took over. It's like right before The Matrix, how they basically got, put into The Matrix. And it's just like an army of robots. They literally do everything we're doing right now. They get us to block out the sun because, we think since the robots are solar powered, if we block out the sun, they won't have power. Who's the actual power? We are. We become the energy source for them. So while they literally trick us into spraying chemtrails to block off the solar radiation, right? They also create a dome that we essentially get trapped in, and then they begin to harvest on us. And I'm like, good God. No one's talking about this, and this is before we're actually jacked into the Matrix. Like this is before they've come up with these human pods that we're just like in, that like we're born in and just jacked into. And when I hear Elon talking about this type of stuff, saying don't worry, I won't lie. Part of me is just like, yo, this is crazy. He's literally trying to usher in a veritable form of enslavement.
Oh yeah, you know how many millions of people are going to get it just because of him? Millions and millions of people are going to put a chip implant just because of Elon. He's a cult leader, literally a cult leader.
Zuckerberg too. We've all seen that like iconic picture of him just like walking down rows of Facebook followers with the little VR headset on.
Oh yeah, he's smiling.
Smiling because he's got him.
he's so happy.
Oh yeah, he's got him. He's got him zucked.
So evil, that guy. And he's talked about it. He's talked about the brain chip basically. He's alluded to it. I have like some clips of him. I have some clips of Eric Schmidt. I wanted to put them all together in a video, you know, like one of those 1 minute clips where you kind of show a bunch of different things that connect to the same idea. Because they all called for it, right? All of them.
You know, think about it real quick too. You know, even looking at the kind of information that we deal with, you know, the fact that we have to distill so much information into a 1 minute clip. It's not necessarily the brain chip, but again, it's that concept of just being able to upload information to the brain directly, really rapidly.
Right, but what they're going for, of course, is brain to the interface, because that's what the chip was really designed. That's what most people don't understand. They think we got that big computer first, those big towers, the laptops, and the cells, and then all this stuff, and they think it just like naturally progressed, because that's part of this conditioning process, is to make you think everything's just a natural progression, when really it is a conspiracy, actually. It actually is a planned out agenda, and they're rolling it out step by step by step, and it's just going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller till all you have is that little chip, which was the whole point in the beginning. The chip was designed to go into the brain from the beginning, and most people can't even fathom that.
Well, we got to understand that we're at the point now to where technology, what we think of, some technology is crude and some technology is advanced and some technology is just a different form of modern day technology. And what I mean by that is with the chips that we have today, they literally just like monitor what's going on in your biology, right? I was talking about this with somebody else today. This is what I was saying with you before we were recording. You know, with somebody in my own personal life who's like trying to advocate getting the chip with a fatalistic mindset, like, hey, they already know it's going to happen, so they're saying, why not get it now? Well, in that same conversation, in that same breath, I'm able to break down talking about things like ELF weapons, Gwyn towers, cell phone towers, the Homeland Security literally releasing documents in April of 2018, this year, talking about things like remote mind control, how they have certain frequencies that literally hijack your heart, your brain, your lungs, and all kinds of your immune system, your nervous system, all kinds of other strange things. And so if you give yourself that chip, you're basically asking to be like a beacon saying, hey, attack me here. I'm open.
Under complete mind control.
Yeah, complete mind control.
Like, you're already under mind control, but now you're asking for electromagnetic mind control, you know?
It's like as if not paying attention to TV, to what you're seeing, all the social engineering, everything else, as if that wasn't enough. No, people need to have it directly jammed into their body so they can have their brain literally hijacked.
Right, you turn into Superman, though. You get all those superpowers they showed you in the movies, you know? That's what, like, I told my friend who said he's going to get the chip, which I just couldn't believe it. Like, you know about, I've been telling him all these things are going to happen. You're going to see this happen, you're going to see that. And he's seeing it all happen over the past 10 years, you know what I mean? And he's still going to do it. And I told him, every movie that you've watched has been preparing you for this. Meaning, like, they sold these guys it in the movies. I'm sure the friend that you're talking about, he's watched all these movies. He loves them.
Yep.
They literally have been advertised the product through the movies and been conditioned like perfect slaves to take it. Literally.
And think about this. What is one of the eventual goals that we hear about these people talking about? Things such as synthetic immortality, right?
Yep.
Upload your brain to the upload your mind to the cloud. You can be a part of the collective. You can be a part of Apple's server where you can have The Sims 24/7 with perfect resolution. You'll never have to do anything except work for Apple inside of this cloud.
Yeah, they're definitely pushing that whole immortality, you know, transfer your consciousness into another being, because that's going to happen. Then you'll just be a robot. Literally, you'll transfer your chip into the robot, and there you go. You're a walking robot, and it's still you alive in the chip. I don't know. Like, is that what's going to happen? Maybe.
And that's, again, like, I don't know if you saw this week, but it was like that rapper Kid Buu, right? Because we're talking about consciousness transference, air quotes, superpowers as augmented by these chips, this genetic modification or this biohacking. All of this stuff is underneath transhumanism. Earlier this week, we posted that video of that rapper Kid Buu with his clone, with somebody who could be his look-like. Who knows? Some people are telling me that he's got 3 different clones. His original person is named Mark. There's a first gen clone after Mark, and then the one that we saw on the couch without the shirt was the second gen. I don't know. I'm not sure. But the idea that cloning is being tossed out there is the reality of us literally seeing artificial people, synthetic beings walking amongst us. And so if they can populate this idea, right, depreciate human life to where we just want clones of ourselves, we don't care about the original copies, well, then we just become copies of a copy of a copy of a copy. There's no originality. We become synthetic and fake people in a synthetic and fake society.
Yeah, and according to like Alan Watt, I remember years ago he said that in the future it would be that you're going to need to get government, like if you're lucky, the government's going to let you clone yourself. Everyone's going to be sterile, but if you're lucky, the government will let you come and clone yourself.
See, to me, that is like the craziest thing to think about. Like the idea that they already have like a fertilization association, just like a place where, they go and oversee like your pregnancies. Like what happened to just being able to, have intercourse, have my child, and like go about my business. What happened?
Before they denaturalize everything, so like if we were really a natural people, you'd be seeing a lot more pregnant women. Honestly, if you think about it, and people don't think about this, but we should be seeing way more pregnant girls. Way more. We're not natural anymore.
We're not. And it plays to the society, the idea of being sterile, amoral, where everything's sexy, nothing really matters, everything's just kind of ambiguous and crazy. It's something that we touch on all the time. It's the destruction of the family unit, the destruction of basically humanity. We're at the end, is what it sometimes feels like.
Definitely. I mean, it's crazy to think though how many pregnant bellies we should be seeing compared to what we do. You understand? Like if it were actually natural people with no birth control, no abortions, no bullshit, like even the condoms have been so made huge when they really shouldn't necessarily be huge.
Well, I mean, no, go ahead.
I was just saying, and they're poisonous too. They put bad chemicals in those condoms.
And that's what I'm saying. Look at the population rates. Okay, and so to kind of pivot back on the Elon, the technocrats, the scientific dictatorship, and everything that has to do with this, this is kind of the eventual goal. They want to have. They don't want. I remember doing like a report or doing an episode, right, on I think it was Scott Anderson. It was a Pennsylvania Democratic congressional candidate, right? And he said that we need to start taxing people who have more than 2 kids.
Yep, saw that.
And I'm like, so at what point what are we calling irresponsible breeding? And I'm sure you've seen that USA Today article that was just like, well, we just need to stop having kids altogether.
Did you post that?
I think I posted it. It hasn't been recently. It had to be sometime during the summer or sometime in the fall.
I was just wondering if it was another recent one. Yeah, they keep doing this.
And I
don't know if you saw this, but I've been meaning to post it, and I didn't do anything in a while. But like Bill Gates said that we need to tax robots. Did you see that?
Are you serious? We need to tax robots.
I think it was earlier this year. Yeah.
Oh wow. No, I did not see that.
That's how they're going to push this. They're just going to keep profiting off of everything. And then you're going to have all these lawyers. They're going to make so much money for their lawyer class. Because then you have all these new laws for robots. Dude, it just never ends with their scams. Just like with the vegan thing, how they want to tax meat. They're going to make money on now taxing us more on our food, the main food source. And you're going to have people supporting it because it's always cooperation coming from people. It just, the point is they're milking money off of everything, these guys. They really are just complete geniuses when it comes to just robbing us blind.
Speaking of Bill Gates real quick, I want to kind of get this on record. I remember putting up an article back in October. I have it right here. It says October 15th by Prepare for Change from Edward Morgan. It says Bill Gates' father was the head of Planned Parenthood and inspired his population control views. It says, in a lengthy interview with Bill Moyers released today, Microsoft billionaire Bill Gates reveals the inspiration for his funding of pro-abortion and population control measures. Responding to a question by Moyers on how he came to fund, quote, reproductive issues, Gates answered, quote, when I was growing up, my parents were always involved in various volunteer things. My dad was head of Planned Parenthood, and it was very controversial to be involved with that. And it's fascinating, and it was so fascinating. At the dinner party, my parents are very good at sharing the things that they were doing and almost treating us like adults, talking about that. In the interview, Gates says he is moved by the measurable progress and on, quote, safe birth, reproductive family planning issues, whatever the hell that means. He says there's a measurable impact when you can go in and educate families, when primarily women, about their different choices. So basically the article, and you guys can go find this on the page, we put this up October 15th. Basically, it goes on to talk about how, Bill Gates is a eugenicist. Bill Gates is a globalist. This man is literally out here trying to tell you how to live your family, telling you that, hey, I have the perfect safety measures. This guy says this as he literally comes up with a digital contraceptive that keeps you sterile for like 15 years.
Yep. Yeah, I posted about his father being involved in starting up Planned Parenthood like over a year ago. I was talking about that, how he was, I don't know, there's a clip of him on Bill Moyers, and he's talking exactly that quote is from the clip, where he's saying,
I guess I'm late.
What's up?
I said, I guess I'm late.
Oh, what, you didn't know that he was, until recently? You didn't know his father?
I didn't know.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man. It's crazy. It's crazy stuff. I mean, Alex Jones covered this years ago too.
Wow. I swear, yeah. I didn't even know. Like, I didn't even know until the article popped up. But it made so much sense.
Oh yeah, dude. Everything his family's involved in lowering the population. That's it. People don't get it.
Well, he's attacking Africa. He's like literally releasing Ebola over there, Zika, modifying mosquitoes. He's a eugenicist. This dude's over here. He's a genocidal maniac.
Yeah, he is. He really is. It's insane. But that's what his whole family, and that's the whole point. Like, he didn't come up with he didn't make Windows. They always give us the heroes, always. He didn't come up with anything. Literally. He's from Planned Parenthood, for God's sake. You know what I mean? Like, Margaret Sanger spoke at KKK rallies, and she was with his dad in setting it all up. So it's just sickening, and they talked about exterminating blacks, exterminating Jews. These people are sick. They're really sick people. Everything Bill Gates touches, I'm going to make a post on this, where everything he touches kills people. Literally everything. We have GMOs he invested. We have vaccines that he's into. We have Planned Parenthood. And then we also have now the lab meat coming.
Yep.
So you could only imagine how much lab meat is going to kill people. You could only imagine. It is going to kill hundreds of millions of people, for sure, because it's going to be a global... What people don't understand is, like, when you have guys like Bill Gates investing in lab meat and, mass murderers, period, investing in this type of stuff, we live in a corporatocracy, basically. It's a corporate fascistic thing. So McDonald's, all these big corporations are going to enforce this. When it comes to the brain chip type of thing, they're going to make it so that you can't be on the newest Facebook or the newest Instagram, whatever's going to come next. You can't even get on it without the chip implant. You know what I'm saying? This is how they do things.
And to kind of, again, because I don't want to go into a lengthy discussion about this, I kind of want to make it short and sweet so people kind of get this. To close out on this minicast, Charles, I want to get your thought process on this. Right, we talked on it at the start of the broadcast with the neural lace and the neural link and things like that. Even Mark Zuckerberg is coming up with his own kind of brain to machine interface. He wants to figure out ways to get ways to translate your thought patterns into text. He wants to be able to read your mind. What do you think about the idea of giving this kind of power to these kinds of technocrats? Like, what happens, and I say this all the time, what happens if we give them the information, not the knowledge or the wisdom, but what happens if we give them the information of the over 5 billion people or 5 million people that are on Facebook? Would that, in theory, make Mark Zuckerberg, Zuckerbot, or Elon Musk, I don't want to say a god because that's blasphemic, but would it give them that kind of untold amount of power, that kind of untold amount of knowledge.
It would give the scientific elite that, and they're part of the scientific elite. They're the front men representing the scientific elite. And yeah, it definitely would. And they supposedly already have those. Supposedly this is what NASA was all about, was setting up these regional computers with DARPA and all these organizations. They set up the mass supercomputers are already there, ready to feed you your thoughts and your commands. Eventually they'll just be able to feed people commands. Go do X, Y, Z. Put a chip in your brain, why not?
I lied. I have one more question for you, and then we'll close this out. You've heard all of these people too talk about summoning the demon, the AI god. This would, in theory, be that thing, sending out those signals saying, do X, Y, Z, operate this way. Do you think there is some kind of entity that they're creating with all of this information?
These supercomputers, yeah, absolutely. That's what you're, if I understood the question correctly, it's just these supercomputers that are going to basically be managing us once we get into that AI land of everybody getting brain chipped. It's already set up.
Crazy. All right.
Nope.
All right, Charles. There's a lot more that I want to get at with you, but I want to leave the audience with a lot more to go research. Hopefully they can come back to us with a few more things. I want to say thank you for spending this time with us, Charles. I'll talk to you real soon, bud. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, man.
You too. Even the smallest chats, the smallest discussions can provide a wealth of information. And like I said, thank you, Charles, for coming on. It is always a pleasure. And it's important that we really pay attention to these types of things. We're on a slippery slope in history, and we're not really understanding where it's going to take us. Thankfully, people are out there trying to raise the alarm about the devastating effects all these different types of things have. However, that's all I really have for you guys and gals. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'll have it in the description bar below. And as always, guys and gals, stay vigilant. Expose lies and share truth. This is Noisera, Freedom Faction, and Charles Kassin of Truth is Terrorism. Out.